We're going to do an experiment. Can we do 4 loaves of sourdough bread, put in the refrigerator, and take out what we need daily or every other day? So I'm sitting there editing the video that you saw last Tuesday about making homemade breadcrumbs. I was wondering, can we batch make the sourdough bread in a large quantity, but cook it in different days? Hello family, welcome back. If you're new here, welcome. I am Vicki and you're with Gravy in the Kitchen. So last week we made a double batch of our sourdough bread, put them in loaf pans, and one we're using as sliced sandwiches. We made French toast from this one, and the other one we cut up into cubes, put them in the oven, 200 degrees, and let them dry. Put in the high-speed blender, and we made our own breadcrumbs. But I was sitting there thinking, can we just make 4 loaves of bread and then pull out a loaf at a time and bake it every other day? We're going to do an experiment. So I have my sourdough starter right here. I do need to feed it, and I am going to put a little bit more than 200 starter in each one of these because we are going to need a total of 400 grams of starter to make 4 loaves of bread. But I need to know how much is in here. So I have the scale bowl, tear it out to 0 on grams, see how much we have in here. It needs to be fed. I fed it last night, so I know it needs to be fed so we can have a nice active sourdough starter for tomorrow. I have 390, 192, 192. Math is off a bit, but that's okay. So we're just going to say 200 grams in each one of these jars. So I need to add 100 grams of water to each jar. I'm going to tear it out to 0, add 100 grams, 103, good enough. To the next jar, 97, close enough. I want to give those a stir. And now I want to put 100 grams of flour. 99, close enough. Stir that in. And now 100 grams of flour in this jar. 95, close enough. And let's stir this flour, starter, and water together. I want to wipe the edge down just so it's not sticky and it sticks to my coffee filter. Coffee filter is what I'm using as a top so that the sourdough starter can breathe in the bacteria in the air and ferment this beautiful. I do like marking where my sourdough starter is right now. And I like to write the time, and it is 10:11 p.m. So tomorrow we're going to come in here and we're going to make 4 batches of sourdough bread. But the plan is I want to make a batch of sourdough bread. Do the stretch and pulls, let it sit on the countertop and ferment, then stick it in the refrigerator before shaping it. And then every other day for a week and a couple days, I'm going to make a loaf of bread. See if the last bread will equal to the first bread at the beginning of the week versus the last part of the week. If that works, then us busy wives, moms, dads, husbands, grandparents, we can do all the dough making at the beginning of the week, but still have fresh bread every day. That will be a game changer. So we're going to leave it sitting here probably about 8 to 10 hours. We'll come back tomorrow and we'll make 4 batches of sourdough bread. Have a good night, and I'll see you in the morning. And don't forget, coffee first thing in the morning. Well, it's the next morning. Hope you got your coffee. Let's see if this works. I have been pondering on this all last night. How can we do this? I'm going to make the dough, and then I'm going to do the pulls, stretch, and folds. 4 of those in a 2-hour period every 30 minutes. Once that's done, I'm going to cover it up, put it in the refrigerator. And then every day or every other day, I'll take out what we need to make bread that day. If it works, this will be great because you can make dough once and have bread all week. So I have all the components weighed out. Come on in a little closer, family. So I have the flour, the water, the honey, and the salt weighed out, but we still need to weigh out our starter. So we're going to need 400 grams of an active sourdough starter. 403 is close enough. I have 1,500 grams of water, 80 grams of honey, 1,900 grams of flour. Ooh, that is cutting it close. And 40 grams of salt. We're going to get everything mixed in to a shaggy mess, and then we can do our stretch and pulls. Now I've done 2 recipes of sourdough bread. Never done 4. This is going to be interesting. I don't want any water pockets or flour pockets. I want to make sure everything is well incorporate. I think that's the best we're going to do. Now I'm still going to come in here every 30 minutes for the next 2 hours and do the stretch and pulls. The only thing different we're going to do is we're not going to let it bulk ferment on the counter at room temperature for the 12 hours that we normally do. After that 4th stretch and pull, we're going to put it straight into the refrigerator. And then when we want to make bread, we'll take out 1 recipe. And if my math is correct, it's going to be 930 grams. We can either weigh it or we can guess on it. But this is 4 recipes. And then the day we want to make bread, we'll take out the required amount, 930 grams of dough. Then we'll let it do its bulk fermentation, shape it. So I'll bring you back when we're ready to do the 4th stretch and pulls, which is going to be in 2 hours. And then we're just going to stick it in the refrigerator. So this is our last stretch and pulls. My bowl of water right here. Perfect. I have another bowl. I want to weigh out 930 grams, because by my calculation, that should be a recipe. 9:24 is good. Let me wash my hands. Now this, I'm going to put in the refrigerator. We're not going to let it do its long fermentation. We'll take care of a portion of this in 2 days. And this one I'm going to leave right here on the countertop and let it do its long fermentation because we're going to bake that bread tomorrow. I'll see you in a couple hours, family. It has been 10 hours since we put 930 grams of our sourdough bread in that bowl. The rest of it is still in the refrigerator. Look at that, beautiful. Oh goodness, it smells so good. Oh, it's beautiful. Now I'm going to go ahead and shape it. Just folding it on itself. And I think I'm going to turn this into an artisan bread. So we're just going to put it in a bowl lined with a clean kitchen towel and stick it in the refrigerator. And tomorrow we'll bake it. We'll put it in the Dutch oven. Look at those bubbles. All right. Let's go ahead and start shaping. And each time you make bread, the better you're going to be at shaping. Just get in your kitchen and do the things. All right, that looks good. I have a clean dish towel. Put a liberal amount of flour. Beautiful. This is the top. Top side down. Sprinkle some flour on the bottom. Let's pick it up. Put it in our bowl. Let me wash my hands really quick. And I need to feed my sourdough starter so I can put it in a refrigerator. We have all the dough in the refrigerator that we're going to be making bread with. So we're not going to need our starter for a while. After you feed it, and you know you're not going to be making bread, just put it in the refrigerator. Feed it, and then put it in the refrigerator. Because the refrigerator will put it to sleep. And that's what we want to do if we want to preserve it. So I have the kitchen scale with a quart-sized mason jar, tear it out to 0. I'm only going to do 200 grams because it's going to be over a week before I'll need this. But I can only leave it in the refrigerator for about 5 days. So in 5 days, I need to make sure I take it out and feed it. And if I start off with 100 grams of starter, add 50 grams of water and 50 grams of flour, that's going to give me 200 grams. And in 5 days, I could take it out of the refrigerator, double it for 100 grams of flour, 100 grams of water, That'll give me 400 grams and I can make bread again, but that's further down the road. So first I want to get 100 grams of our sourdough starter, and I went way over. Perfect. And then I'm going to add 50 grams of water and 50 grams of flour. 53, close enough. Mix that in really well, and I'm going to add 50 grams of flour. 52, good enough. Mix that in, make sure we don't have any flour pockets. I'm going to wipe the rim. And I'm not going to throw what's left in this jar away because that's a sourdough discard. And we can make recipes with it. I have a delicious cracker recipe that uses sourdough discard. We have a cereal recipe. It's sort of like a cinnamon toast crunch. That's a discard recipe. Now I'm going to write on here discard. That way I know it has not been fed. This one I do want to mark right where that sourdough starter line is. I'm going to write the time and I'm going to write the date. I have today's date plus I have the date of 5 days from now. So I know I need to take this out by that date to feed it. And as for the discard, I am going to put a used canning lid and a canning ring, and I can put that in the refrigerator. And once I get a good amount, I can make something with it. So I have my discard and I have my active. We have the bread that we're going to cook tomorrow. Plus we have our bulk bread dough mix in there that in a couple days, we're going to make another loaf. Well, y'all have a wonderful evening, and I'll see you in the morning. So this is our first bread. We shaped this last night, put it in the refrigerator. Oh, it's beautiful. So I have some parchment paper. I'm going to make this an artisan bread. Put some flour down. So remember, this is the bottom, that's the top. Sprinkle a little bit of flour on the top. And I have a paring knife. I'm going to go ahead and score it. I had the Dutch oven in the oven, both warming up to 400 degrees. Let's go ahead and drop our bread in there. Ouch. Now this is going to go into a 400 degree for 45 minutes with the lid on. Then I'll take the lid off and cook it for an additional 15 minutes. And while we're at it, we're going to go ahead and get tomorrow's bread ready. So this is the bulk of our sourdough bread. It's been kept in the refrigerator. I'm just using the same bowl from today's bread. Tear it out to kilograms. And now we're going to weigh out 930 grams of this bread. $932 looks good. I'm going to put the bulk back into the refrigerator. And I'm going to leave this on the countertop and let it do its bulk fermentation. We'll deal with that tonight, put it in the refrigerator just like today's bread, and tomorrow we'll bake that one. And I'll see you in an hour. Okay, family, it's been 12 hours since we let this do a bulk fermentation. It is beautiful. So I'm going to put some flour on the surface. I really need to get my bowl scraper from Amanda's, but that's just too far to drive to go pick that up. I can get it from Amazon quicker. And here's our second bread from the bulk sourdough bread recipe we made. Let's dump this out. Oh my goodness. I love that smell. Sourdough bread has a very distinctive sourness to it. Family. It's gorgeous. Put some flowers on my fingers. All right, let's pick it up and start folding it into itself, just like we did last night. Okay, that looks good. I have a clean dish towel. Let's go ahead and give a good liberal coating of flour. This is the bottom, and that's the top. So I'm going to put top side down. We pick up all this flour right here. Sprinkle that on there. Beautiful. Put it in a bowl. Let me wash my hands. So now I'm going to put this in the refrigerator, and tomorrow morning we'll bake this. So it's 2 days in a row we have bread. I still have the first one right here. I labeled it bread 1. Tomorrow after I cook this, I'll label this one bread 2. And I'm undecided if I am going to make bread tomorrow to cook on Friday, or am I going to skip a day? We'll find out tomorrow. Y'all have a good evening, and I'll see you in the morning. So this morning I got up and I cooked the second sourdough bread. This is all that's left of the second one. The husband and I had French toast this morning, and we're having garlic bread for dinner tonight. But the second loaf is just as pretty as the first loaf. I'm skipping today forming a bread, but I'm going to do that in the morning. And I got plans for the last 2 sourdough breads that are still in the refrigerator in a dough form. So I went ahead and took out the last 2 bulk sourdough bread out of the refrigerator. I divided it into 2. This one is actually 930 grams. Whatever's left over is here. I'm just going to let them sit right here until they ferment and bulk rise. I'll deal with these tonight. But this was bread 1, and that is left over from bread 2. We've had French toast, garlic bread, and I had a couple slices with some eggs earlier this week. I have 1 slice of garlic bread left. We'll just save that for another day. But so far, making a bulk batch of 4 sourdough breads, keeping them in the refrigerator, and only taking out what we need when we need it to make bread. I made the bulk dough on Tuesday, and Tuesday I did take out enough for 1 bread, let it do its bulk fermentation. Tuesday night I shaped that, put it in a towel in a bowl, stuck it in the refrigerator. Then Wednesday morning I baked that bread. Plus I went ahead and took out the required amount, 930 grams, from the bulk dough, and I went ahead and started another bread, let it do its countertop long fermentation. Wednesday night we shaped that into a bread, put that in a towel, stuck that in the refrigerator. Then Thursday we baked that bread in a Dutch oven for 1 hour. And we have this one. I did not pull any bread out on Thursday to make another bread. I actually did it today, Friday. So Friday we went ahead and divided what was left into 2 bowls. Tonight I'm going to shape these into bread. One I'm going to bake tomorrow. The other one I am going to leave it in the towel in a bowl in the refrigerator, and we're not going to bake that until Sunday. So Saturday we're going to bake one, Sunday we're going to bake the other one. So by the time we bake that last bread, this dough will be 5 days old in the refrigerator or on the counter fermenting. If this works, if Sunday's bread is just as good as Wednesday's bread, we can make a batch dough and just pull out what and when we need bread. That's going to be a game changer. I'm excited for that. I'll see y'all later tonight when we're ready to shape these last 2 bread doughs. It has been 12 hours since we took the last 2 of our sourdough bread out of the refrigerator. So I'm going to put some flour down on my surface. And we're going to do 1 dough at a time, shape it, and put it in the refrigerator. Now we made this dough 3 days ago, and it's still alive and active. So I have a clean towel, liberal amount of flour on it. This is the top, so we're going to put top side down. A good amount of flour on the bottom side of the bread. Put it in a bowl. All right, now let's shape this. It is sticky to me. There's no right or wrong way to fold your bread. You just want to fold it over and over again. I have another clean dish towel. So that's the top side down. A little bit more flour on the bottom. All right, let me clean up my mess right here. So these are going to go into the refrigerator. Tomorrow I'm going to bake one, which is going to be Saturday. I think I'm going to wait till Monday to bake the second one. That will give us 6 days from the time that we made the dough till we baked it. I'm curious to see if the sourness is going to be more intense versus bread 1, bread 2. This is 3 and this is 4. So tomorrow I'm going to bake this in a 400-degree oven with the Dutch oven heated up in the oven at the same time as the oven is heating up. Whew, that's a lot of words. Then we're going to bake it for 45 minutes with the lid on, 15 minutes with the lid off. And this one, we're either going to do Sunday or Monday. I will let you know. So it's Monday. I woke up this morning, preheated the oven with the Dutch oven, and I baked the last bread. I'm going to insert a picture right here and show you what it looked like when I took it out of the refrigerator after it's been in there for 2 days, shaped in a bowl. I was kind of worried because it looks a little flat to me. But when I baked it, it turned out okay. I'm going to bring you in closer so we can see all the breads. We made 4 loaves since last Tuesday. Today is Monday, 6 days. We bulk made the bread. We did a stretch, pulls, and folds. Stuck it in the refrigerator except for enough to make 1 bread. Then we did all the things. Cooked it on Wednesday. Cooked another one on Thursday. We did the things on Friday for Saturday's and Monday's bread. Saturday we baked the 3rd loaf. Monday we baked the 4th loaf. Let me show you what we have. Day 2 we ate the most of. But this is Tuesday baked on Wednesday. This was Wednesday baked on Thursday. This is Friday baked on Saturday, Friday, and then baked on Monday. Let's go ahead and cut this one open. It is a little flatter, but it's still got a pretty good crumb. So it's not much difference between 1 and 4. This was baked the day after we made the dough, and this was baked 6 days after we made that dough. They look pretty good. So we made the dough on Tuesday. So we're going to count that as day 1. We baked the bread on Wednesday. That's day 2, day 3, day 4, and day 6. So there's really not that much difference from making the dough one day, doing the stretch and folds, let it do its bulk fermentation, shaping the dough, put it in the refrigerator overnight, and baking it the next day versus 6 days. If you're a person who makes a lot of sourdough bread at home, this could be a game changer, especially when you have a large family. You can make your dough once and still have fresh bread every day. And you don't have to bring out the flour and the starter, the honey, the salt, all the things, and do the 2-hour stretch and folds every day. Do it once, and then you can just weigh out what you need for that bread. Let it do a bulk fermentation, shape it, put it in the refrigerator, and the next day you can bake it. This is a game changer. There is one more experiment I want to do, and it's probably going to be a while because we have a lot of bread here. But I want to see if we can carry this even one step further and possibly make the dough, do the stretch and folds, let it bulk ferment, shape it into a bread, but put it in the freezer. And then we could take it from the freezer, put it on our counter, and let it thaw and rise and bake it. If that's the case, then we will even take this game-changing experiment to a new level, and we don't have to do the shaping every day. We can just take one out of the freezer, let it thaw, let it rise, and bake it. If that is something you're interested in, please let me know in the comment below. This was a good experiment. It worked. 6 days, we got 4 loaves of bread by making one dough. But if we can do this and have it frozen, that would be even awesome. I need to feed my starter. It's been in the refrigerator for 6 days. It still has a little rise. We fed it on Tuesday night, and it's just about a ½ an inch above that line. When I fed this Tuesday, I put it straight into the refrigerator. It did do some rise and fall, but it was still asleep in the refrigerator. So we need to wake this up, feed it, so we can move on. But we have a lot of bread. The husband and I have been enjoying French toast pretty much every day this week because he is not taking eggs to work with him. He usually takes 2 hard-boiled eggs every day. He's kind of tired of that right now, so I still pick up a dozen of eggs every week from my local farm. So we always have eggs, and now we have bread. So we'll eat a lot of French toast, a lot of grilled cheese, a lot of the things. If you find this video interesting, please give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I ask you to please hit that subscribe button. If you hit that subscribe button, you become part of the Grammy family. And I love having more members in our family, learning the things to cook a homemade, from scratch meals, including sourdough bread at home. Leave the prepackaged foods on the shelf in the grocery store. Leave the fast food, deliveries, all the things on the other side of your door. Do not allow it in your house, in your body. It is not healthy. It is not healthy at all. Hit that notification, because when we get in this kitchen, sometime in the very near future, we're going to try the freezer sourdough bread experiment. I'm looking forward to that. So please hit the thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, and until next time we get in this kitchen, we're going to do something fun. It's going to be Thursday, which is Sweet Thursday, and as of right now, I don't know what it's going to be. You know I'll bring you along. So until next time, y'all have a blessed day. Bye, family. Game changer. I absolutely love this idea.